Hey everybody, it's your friend Jason Pound here answering the top questions asked by home buyers in today's real estate market. Question we're tackling today, how do I avoid purchasing a lemon? The short answer is by putting an appropriate inspection period into your offer contract. As usual, let me over-explain. The philosophy that is guiding everything in today's discussion is that price and condition must be in alignment. If you are buying a used house, you cannot expect it to be perfect. Realize there are going to be dinks, donks, and blemishes. And the point of an inspection period is to make sure that the condition of the property is in alignment with the price that you have agreed to pay for the property. That being said, price must equal condition with regards to new build constructions as well. Realize that just because a home is brand new and was finished yesterday does not mean that it does not need to be inspected. Even new build constructions need to be inspected. The second thing that is going into this discussion today is also the assumption that just like you would not purchase a used car without having your favorite uncle who is a mechanic look at it, or take it down the street to one of your favorite vendor mechanics and have them look at it, you would not purchase a house without going over it with a fine-tooth comb. The problem is most home buyers are not general contractors. Most home buyers do not have extensive construction knowledge. So we are dependent upon the knowledge of others. As a result, when Jarek and I are showing properties to our clients, these are the main things that we are focusing on as realtors. These are the big ticket items that will destroy your home ownership experience. And it is important that if you are purchasing a property with any of these issues, that it is accounted for in your price, because sooner or later you are going to pay for it. The number one thing we look at is the electrical box and the plugs throughout the house. If you are buying a property that was built in the 60s, it's probably not going to have some of the code requirements with a house that was completed in 2026. It is not fair to ask the owner of a property to bring it up to modern code. So the price and the appraisal go ahead and account for that. The purpose of your inspection is to make sure that there are not any safety issues that are going to come back to bite you, and also to make sure that you are not buying a complete loss. There are still properties out there that have different wiring systems than we have today. And that electrical system can be a reason to back out of a deal. For example, a famous company known as Federal Pacific made a lot of electrical boxes that resulted in a lawsuit because some houses burnt down due to a safety issue. And in Oklahoma, it's common to still run into houses that have Federal Pacific boxes. And as a result, you have to make up your mind as a buyer, do you want to deal with that or not? Very rarely is the seller going to be willing to replace that box if it is considered to be in working order. It's something to be aware of. So electrical issues don't come up a ton, but when they do, they can be expensive. Number two, plumbing. Some of the more common plumbing issues that we deal with, a lot of times there is a hairball underneath the tub or the shower, the main tub, the main shower, if the home has been vacant for a while and that's had a chance to harden up, it's going to cause a slow drain. Another area is the drain for the washing machine. That tends to get some detritus in it at times. And then finally, the third area, the sewer line. It is not uncommon in Oklahoma for trees to grow their root systems into your piping system. And so it's very important that when you get your home inspected, you're not just opening cabinets to see if there are leaks and how neat and tidy the plumbing looks, but it's also important to run cameras down the systems and make sure that they don't have steep bellies in them, which will cause draining issues, or roots in them, which will hardly allow any draining at all. Number 3, the roof. In Oklahoma, it is not uncommon for a roof to be past its standard age of insurability once it passes 10 years old. There are some insurance companies that are still offering replacement costs regardless of the age of the roof, as long as it can pass an inspection. But let's be honest, in Oklahoma, with the extreme temperatures we have from negative 10 degrees up to 103 degrees, and then constant blowing wind mixed in with some tornadoes and some hailstorms, our roofs take a pounding. And so once a roof is around 10 years or older, you need to have a roofer that you trust inspect it. Sellers these days are struggling because they don't want to replace roofs, and buyers are expecting them to be replaced. And sellers need to realize that if they have a trashed roof, they're going to have to deal with it with you, or they're going to have to deal with it with the next buyer. Nobody is wanting to buy a trashed roof. And they're either going to have to pay for that with their insurance and a claim, or they're going to have to take some of their money out of their pocket, out of their proceeds, and take care of that. So as a buyer, do not be scared to negotiate roofing issues. Number 4, foundations. In Oklahoma, we have lots of red clay, and as that clay gets wet and dries, it expands and contracts, expands and contracts. And with all of that movement, your foundation eventually is going to start shifting a little bit. It's not a question of if, it's just a matter of when. There are things that you can do to protect against it, but during the inspection period, get a foundation company to come out and look at the foundation and make sure that you're not dealing with foundation issues. It can be a quick, easy fix, as cheap as $600 to $800 for one pier. But if you need 20 piers, it could easily hit $20,000. So if your home is not on a sure foundation, or is not on a foundation that has been made sure, that's reason to back out of a transaction right there. Foundation issues will start showing up as cracks in the walls, cracks in the corners, cracks in the ceiling, cracks in the floors. You don't want to deal with it. You want to get it fixed as soon as possible and negotiate those repairs. Often they come with a lifetime warranty. Number 5, the HVAC system. HVAC systems in Oklahoma are road hard and put up wet, as they say. Once again, with our extreme temperatures, we use our heating systems aggressively, and we use our cooling systems quite aggressively. And the smaller the system, as compared to the larger the house, the more strain it puts on the system. Something to be aware of. A lot of the new builds, they are putting the vents in the ceiling. They have run the ductwork through the attic. A lot of your older houses would actually include the vents in the foundation. The problem with that is if water ever floods the house or lots of condensation builds up in the system, you will begin to rust out your vents. And so it's important, if you have floor vents, to not only run cameras down your plumbing system, but run cameras down your vent system so you can make sure you're not buying a rusted out ventilation system where sand is eventually going to start pouring in. And every time you turn on your heater or your air condition, you're blowing small granules of sand into the house and further weakening your foundation. If you will come to terms with these 5 main issues, everything else is pretty much an aesthetical choice. And you have a high probability of not having purchased a lemon. Realize that inspectors are not psychic. They can't tear open walls and see behind obstructions. They really have their eyes and their hands to go inspect things. There are some technologies and tools that are available, such as cameras and infrared thermal guns and things like that. But at the end of the day, you are paying a professional to give you their best guess in real time with the current situation. So don't expect a perfect house, but don't settle for any of these issues unless you've gotten a good price for the poor condition. My name is Jason Pound with Jericho Pound Realty Group. We service the entire Oklahoma City metro area with hyper-local expertise in South Oklahoma City, Moore, and Norman. If we can ever be of service, don't hesitate to reach out. In the meantime, peace out. Have a great life.